Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. Time for another hard rock and heavy metal update. Let's get going. Jump right in with a little bit of Megadeth. This is one I really kicked myself for not buying 3 or 4 years ago, when you could still get it for under $100. Now it's like $300, $400, $500. So when I saw that this bootleg came out, I was disappointed by the artwork, but I happily grabbed it. I do not understand why Capitol has released every other Megadeth album, but this one and its predecessor. Actually, and the album after it. It makes no sense to me. But Euthanasia from Megadeth. I don't know how well you can see it. The artwork is super blurry. It's a really shitty blow up of the CD artwork. I've always loved this picture, though. I used to have this shirt, as a matter of fact. When this album first came out, I bought a box set that was the t-shirt and the CD, and I wore this thing out literally until there were huge holes in the armpits. Loved that shirt, but just a fantastic album. Saw them on this tour. Really killer. But Megadeth. Next up, been grabbing these High Roller reissues. I tried to get the triple LPs of all of them, but I only was able to get two. But this is the 84 12-inch. I don't know if you'd call this an EP or a 12-inch single, but this is Lost in Lonely Days and Aliens from Warlord. Bought this for Aliens. I've always loved that song. High Roller did a really good job on this. A little pricey. At $20, I think is a little much for a 12-inch, but I love Warlord and really wanted that, so went ahead and got it. Another Megadeth. Actually, speaking of that tour, 1995. That was the year of the Euthanasia tour when I saw them. This is only a couple songs. It was actually an hour and 45 minute set, and this is only 5 songs, but this is and DOL is they do this all the time. They'll split it up into like 4 different LPs to try to make money off of it. But this is live at the Great Olympia Auditorium in LA, February 25th, 1995. So this is Holy Wars, In My Darkest Hour, Sweating Bullets, Mechanics, and Symphony for Destruction. Sounds pretty good. The Megadeth boots have been hit or miss. Whereas like the Motorhead, there's a couple bands, all the Judas Priest I've bought have sounded fantastic. For some reason, the Megadeth, I've gotten some really bad ones. Even radio broadcasts that usually sound pretty good have been pretty rough. Next up, a few from the same band. I was really happy when this finally got repressed to vinyl because the originals were getting pretty pricey. But this is Warriors of the Sun from Saint. I believe their debut. So it came out with 2 different covers, though, and Retroactive did was on the front they did the one cover, the one that most people like, and then on the back they did the other cover, which I thought was kind of cool. But fantastic album. And then also their new album, which is 8 out of 10. Really, really good. I've liked their last few. But this one is like next level. This one's gotten a lot of spins. This one just came out maybe 6 months ago. Again, this would have been in my top 10 for 2022. Really dug this, but this is Heaven Fell. And then just pulled this one out today, actually. I mentioned in one of my last videos, I've been going through all of my inbox. Some of this stuff has been sitting for years. I bought this the day it came out in, I believe, 2017. So, or maybe it was 2018. So this has been sitting for a good 5 years, and I just got around to listening to it. But and I believe this is their 3rd album, maybe their 4th album. It's with the original singer, though, Saint in the Battle. And this is actually different artwork. The original artwork was really bad for that one. Next up, a little bit of Fastway. I have an original of this, but it's not in the best condition, so I grabbed this one. This one sounds pretty good. I might do a comparison video. Super overpriced, though. I don't know what is going on. Actually, no, I take that back. This one wasn't too bad. I'm confusing this with something that Friday Music released. This was Real Gone Music. But this is Trick or Treat. My second favorite Fastway. Honestly, when it comes to Fastway, I think their debut and this album are all you need. You can skip everything else in between them. I'm sure a lot of you really love everything that Fastway put out. I thought it was all mediocre other than their debut and this album. Highly recommend grabbing this one while you still can. Now, I think I paid $26 for this, and this one is on. This is the Hellfire vinyl edition, and this is one where the originals were getting up into the $100 range before this reissue came out. I haven't looked to see what they're going for now, but even like a VG Plus was going for like $75, $85. So this next one is one that shocked me. I hadn't been a fan of this band in 20 years, 25 years. I really liked Korn when they came out. Actually, I saw Korn for the first time on that same Megadeth tour. It was Fear Factory opened, then Korn, then Flotsam and Jetsam, and then Megadeth in '95. And I loved their debut. Their second album I thought kind of sucked, and even they say now that they just threw it together. The studio or the label just rushed them into the studio. They were there for a couple days. They wrote everything, recorded it really quick. But their third and fourth albums I really loved. Issues is the last one that I really got into. And what it kind of came down to was, Jonathan Davis was going through. He was really putting his emotions to paper, all the childhood abuse and all that stuff that he dealt with, and it was all there. And once he kind of worked that stuff out, the music went to shit. Well, unfortunately, a couple of years ago, his wife OD'd. His ex-wife. They were divorced by this time, but it took him back into that really dark place. And the album before this was fantastic. Somebody turned me on to it. I wasn't going to buy it. And then I read a write-up from somebody that I really trust who said it was their second or third best album, which kind of threw me for a loop. So I bought it. It was fantastic. This one is just as good. I was really shocked. It's only like 35 minutes long, but this is Requiem. Again, that same place. This and their last album is the best stuff that they've written in 20 plus years. I never thought I would show a Korn record on my videos because I just don't do the new metal thing anymore. But this one really blew me away. So if you like those first few Korn albums, you may want to check this one and the one before it out. Next up, really happy that I got this one. I got it for cheap too. I got it for like $35, and these are going for $80, $90. March or Die from Motorhead. This is a original 92 pressing, it looks like. Killer album. I love his cover of Cat Scratch Fever. And a lot of people don't. I heard somebody talk about how he covers Hellraiser from Ozzy on this album. It's not actually a cover. They wrote that song together, and they both released it on their album. So it was on No More Tears for Ozzy, and it was on this album for Motorhead. But they actually wrote that together. And I love his version of that song, too. Maybe a little bit more than the Ozzy version. And I love that Ozzy album. But this is really a must-have if you haven't checked that one out. Another really crazy deal. I got this one for, I think it was $60. It goes for 180, 150, 180. And you never see it. And to walk into a store and see it just blew me away. But this is the BBC and In Session from Motorhead. This is BBC sessions from 78 and 79. They were supposed to do a part 2 of this, and they never did. So the CD is a 2-disc, and it also has the BBC sessions from 81 and 86. So hopefully we get those other 2 BBC shows on vinyl at some point. But this has only been pressed once. They did a bunch of different colors, though. This is from 2008. They did maybe 5 different colors, but they all go for 150 plus. So when I walked in and saw this, I couldn't grab it fast enough. Next up, Iron Maiden, King of the Twilight, rare B-sides. Not really very rare, but these are all B-sides from their singles. I've got most of their singles, but it's still cool to have all the B-sides on one album. So this one is King of the Twilight Rare B-sides 82 to 88 from Vern Records. I recommend, if you're looking for any kind of any kind of bootlegs, Vern Records is the one to get. Everything that they release sounds fantastic. They don't release any of this really low volume, low quality stuff. It's all really good. Some of the Vern stuff sounds better than the band's live albums. Next up, this is one I got from brother Billy Hurst. This thing sounds fantastic. You never know what you're going to get when you buy Japanese pressings. And typically, especially the stuff from the 70s and 60s, they roll off the bass. I don't know why they do it. And I've got a lot of Japanese pressings that, even though I love having them as a collector, they just don't sound that good because the bass has been rolled off. That's not the case with this one. This is Wasp, and it just sounds fantastic. Sorry, my allergies are really bad. The pollen, my truck, I have a black F-150. It's like, it's completely yellow from all the pollen that's out there right now. But Billy really hooked me up with this one. It's mint condition. It's got all of the inserts, just in fantastic condition. Next up, Wrath. I believe this is their second album. And this one is definitely, they've always been called technical metal or progressive metal. Their first album definitely was maybe a little bit. This one, you definitely hear the progressive metal a little bit more. They're not super progressive, though, when you compare them to any of the other technical or progressive bands. They were still good, though, and this is definitely the best thing that they released. But this is Nothing to Fear. Again, one that I got from Billy Hurst. Speed Tech Masters. Excuse me, that may be overstating it, but still a great band and a great album. Next up, this is one I was flipping through Discogs and ran across and had to buy it. Candlemass doing Don't Fear the Reaper and All Along the Watchtower. It doesn't get much better than that. They do a great job, and I love this album art. I would love to get a Candlemass shirt with this album art on it, but really killer Candlemass 10-inch. This was a reissue, too. This is from, like, years ago. Let's see. Does it say when it was? I want to say it was like 2012 or 13 when this was originally released. But this is a 2022 repress of it. So a couple more additional Iron Maidens to add to the collection. I think this is my third pressing of this one, but this is the UK pressing of No Prayer for the Dying. I've also got a German pressing and the US red vinyl pressing. Still, it's Iron Maiden. Next up, and this one is a European pressing of Somewhere in Time. So next up, I did a video maybe, close to 10 years ago. I want to say it was like 2014, where I listed a bunch of albums that I would like to see repressed to vinyl, and this finally got a repress, and I just don't like it as much as I used to. If anybody ever asked me what my favorite black metal album was, it was always this album. And it must be just it must be a nostalgia thing, because I hadn't listened to it in years, and I saw it was getting repressed, an anniversary edition. I had to buy it. I didn't like anything else that this band ever released again, and I've talked about that before. After this album, they went to progressive. I don't know if they're progressive death metal or progressive black metal, but they went the more progressive route, and I didn't like it. The band originally, I believe the lyrics were in German. They switched to English, and I gave them a couple chances, and it just never hit with me. But this is the debut from Borknagar. I was really happy again when I saw that they were doing an anniversary edition of this. I pre-ordered it. Unfortunately, it kept getting pushed back. It got pushed back for close to a year, I think, before it finally came in. Um, just really killer Viking metal, though. German language. They did a live session, which is completely pointless. I mean, it's basically the same songs done the same way in worse quality. I loved this when it came out. I played this nonstop. This was one of my first death or black metal CDs. This was it. This Dark Funeral, was it Dark Funeral? Regardless, it was this and Principles of Evil Made Flesh. I love both of those albums. I played them nonstop. I gave this a couple spins, and it just doesn't hit me the same way. And it's not because I don't like black metal anymore, because I don't listen. I stopped listening to black metal shortly after that. Once the black metal went symphonic, really symphonic, I lost all interest in it and have never come back to it. There are a few bands here and there that have kind of piqued my interest. And I still like, some of the really early black metal where it was heavy metal with the black metal vocals. Some of it had like a punk edge to it as well. I still like some of that stuff from time to time. I still like Principles of Evil Made Flesh. That's another band. That's the last album from Cradle of Filth that I liked. I didn't like anything after that. They started adding, going more gothic, and I lost all interest. They basically became a parody of themselves. Anyway, this next album was one of my number one grails. I may have already shown this in a video, but I've been playing it a lot, so I went ahead and put it in here again. This is Principle of Inner Strength, Power of Inner Strength from Grip Incorporated. This is one of my all-time favorites. So in the early 90s, when Dave Lombardo left Slayer, I don't remember if he left or if he was fired. I can't remember. But after he left Slayer, he started this band. And actually, he may have gone to Testament first. I can't remember if he went to Testament first or if he started this band. But this is... Grip Incorporated is fantastic, especially this album. I like all of their albums, but this is by far my favorite. A really good mix of groove metal and thrash metal. And the whole band was just killer. This is one I've wanted on vinyl forever. This has been probably in my top 3 grails for 20 years, and to finally have it on vinyl, I'm super stoked. I saw that it came out. It was hard to find it because the first couple they did 100. I believe this one's red vinyl. Yeah, this one was limited to 100. Then they did 300 in another color and like 300 in another. And I wanted this one with the Obi, and I think I found it in Canada. Nobody would sell it to me, or the seller didn't sell to the U.S. So I had to get SMF Captain Howdy to get it for me. Had to get it mailed to him, and then him mail it to me. So thanks for that, John. But really happy to have it. If you haven't checked this one out, I recommend checking this out. It's a really, really good album. Next up, I got this thinking this was the new wave of British heavy metal band Ritual. If you're not familiar with Ritual, they have one of my all-time favorite new wave of British heavy metal albums. I thought this was the same band. It turns out this is either a Dutch, I believe it's a Dutch band with the same name. And when I was searching for the other album in one of the websites, they had these linked together, making me think it was the same band. So I bought this one too. Turns out it's a totally different band, but it's still pretty good. But this is Surrounded by Death. And I would say this is more on the Blackened side of things. But yeah, Last Rite for the Demon. Let's see, March of the Dead. Too Late to Change. But still pretty good. Not near as good as the Ritual, the new wave of British heavy metal band, but this is still pretty good. So if you run across that for a decent price, I'd grab it. And next up, Screamer. kind of a second tier new wave of British heavy metal band. I don't like this one as much as their last couple, but it's still a really good album. If you like their last couple, then I would grab this one too. But this is Kingmaker. Again, I may have shown a couple of these. If I have, I'm sorry, I'm showing them again. But this is their newest album. I ordered this one direct from the band, a signed copy. I really love the artwork on this, but I don't know how well you can see it. But if you like new wave of traditional metal, again, these are like this, it's not as good as like Night Demon, or like High Spirits. Still really good though. Next up, this is Leftovers from the Black Album box set from Metallica. This is the final of their vinyl club for now. They've canceled the club for at least the next year. But this one's got Nothing Else Matters, a string and vocal mix, My Friend of Misery, Rough Mix, and then No Remorse live, and The Shortest Straw live. The live stuff is definitely my favorite on here, but still, all four tracks sound really good on here. And again, I mean, this record club has been totally worth it. I've liked pretty much everything that they've released. They did a really great job on the artwork, everything. And I hope they redo it. It's not the first time that they've done. You know, they were doing the paint cans back in the 90s. Then they stopped doing the limited stuff again. It's something that they'll do for a few years and it'll disappear for a few years. Next up, another one that I bought forever ago, maybe a year ago, and finally got around to. I believe this is the last album with Eric Wagner, but this is Trouble, Simple Mind Condition. Just kind of filling out the I didn't really like the album before this one, so I never bought this one. Really killer album though. I really dug this and spun it quite a few times. But it says Trouble's 2007 convincing comeback album. But again, I believe this was kind of the end for Eric Wagner and Trouble. Highly recommend grabbing this one though while you still can. And then last but not least, this is a must own if you're a thrash guy or girl. This album is a 9 out of 10. I absolutely love it. I actually like this better than the next album, but this is the debut from Dark Angel. This is a unofficial pressing done by what is it? Metal Mania Records. You can get this for like 25, 30 bucks. It sounds fantastic. Originals for some reason just shot up out of nowhere. They sat around 125 bucks for like 7 years. And then one guy on Discogs sold like a signed copy for like 300 bucks. Now every time you see it listed, it's like 350 bucks, whether it's signed or not. But Dark Angel, we have arrived. I love that they used this artwork and not the black with the Dark Angel logo on it. This is a fantastic album. This is a must-have for any of you thrash guys. Just really killer technical thrash. That's it, guys. I hope everybody's good. And I'll see you soon. Take care.